Hey lovely, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Jo and I am so thrilled that you are here. Today's topic is gratitude. Sometimes gratitude can just feel like it is overdone. Don't get me wrong, I love gratitude. But sometimes it can feel like this gratitude vibe is just, I'm done with it and I kind of feel like over it. And that is completely okay. Here's the thing about gratitude. Gratitude can take you to those high vibe states of emotion. It is one of the highest vibing emotional states that we can experience. But sometimes we don't feel like getting to that high vibe. There's something else that is going on in our world. Things like we can be angry at someone, but we're numbing that emotion down, but we're still feeling it in the back of our mind. We can be frustrated at something that's gone on in our life, but we're putting it to the back of our mind. We can feel resentment towards someone, but we're putting it at the back of our mind. And these reasons, because these are emotions and they're preventing us from accessing gratitude to its fullest, truest potential. And this has come about because I noticed it. I noticed it in myself and in people generally. When we talk about gratitude, there's almost that little bit of a, oh yeah, I do my gratitude journaling. And that it's like flat. That's because there are emotional triggers that are going off in our inner world, but we are choosing to suppress them. This is completely normal. However, what I'm here to share with you today is once we access those triggers and process them, then we can experience gratitude in its most expansive potential. So let's just go back to what those triggers are. So these are things like anger, resentment, frustration, and they can be the tiniest things, because it's always the little things that we have to keep an eye out for. It's the little things that are always the key to open us to being more expansive. So what do I mean? So things like, if you've had an argument with your partner and you kind of think, you tell yourself, that's okay, I'm gonna numb it down, not feel it, process it later, deal with it again, or completely forget about it. Ultimately, when we try and reach those higher states of gratitude, we can't get there. It's almost as if we put a glass ceiling on top of ourselves that we will never be able to expand into gratitude, into its most fullest potential, because there is a roof to what we can feel, because we are blocking ourselves. Let me just circle back to where I said never, because it is not that you will never reach those higher states of gratitude. That is not the case. That is not what I meant. But when you break down this process of what are your triggers and what is going on that you are currently suppressing, numbing out, pretending that doesn't exist, deleting it, or distorting what is going on in your world. And believe me, humans are absolutely amazing at this. A pro sitting right here. But once you realize what is going on in your world and what you are numbing out and choosing not to, I'm going to use the word tackle, choosing not to confront, then you will forever have a glass ceiling. I used to call it years ago, I was in my safety bubble. I was in this safety bubble that I did not want to experience anything else out of my safety bubble. And that was great for where I was, completely. I felt completely safe in my own safety bubble. But actually, since stepping out of my safety bubble, I have experienced so much more. And that is when you start to shatter your glass ceiling. And that glass ceiling can only be shattered by experiencing those emotions that you are avoiding right now. That is the way. Once you start to notice your triggers and then develop a way where you can process them, then gratitude opens up to you even more than you dreamed. Because with our emotional world, there is always so much more. So imagine what feeling even more gratitude would actually feel like. Sometimes just saying that, it just blows me away. But know that you can get to feel this too. You can get to feel more. There is always more love to go around, and there is certainly always more gratitude to go around. So once you have processed these triggers that are going off, these niggles, these irks that are happening in your life, and you start doing it repeatedly, only for the small things, because there's the little things that matter, then they become habitual. Once you start to notice one, you'll start to notice another, then it'll be another, and you can process all these things that are coming up for you, because then when you process the small things, the big things don't come along so often. Because what happens is when we ignore everything and we stuff it all down inside of us, instead we have this big massive ball that pops up. Whereas when you notice the little things, you have like little champagne bubbles of gifts. That's what I love to call them. They're little tiny champagne bubbles that pop up, and you deal with them because they're tiny. They're like little irks. I was angry because he said that. Oh, I was irate at that shopper because they pushed in front of me in the queue. I got annoyed at the road rage man because he pulled in front of me. All those little things, when we process them and notice them, that's where the beauty lies. I just want to pause there right now and just give you a little bit of a process that you can use so that when these triggers come up, you have something to start creating your own process around. You may already have something that you use. Great. If you don't, then start noticing those emotions. Perhaps decide what emotion it is. Anger, frustration, resentment. There are plenty of others of those that we can kind of like rub up against. Jealousy, bitterness. And then start to feel into those emotions and ask yourself, why am I feeling like this? And then really come to terms with like, yeah, that's me. That's okay. I'm a human. I am allowed to feel these emotions, because you are allowed to feel angry. There is nothing wrong with feeling angry at all. It is absolutely normal. And I would say anger is one of the most suppressed emotions that as human beings decide to suppress. But honestly, become friends with your anger. This is gonna be unfamiliar, but just start to notice, like, anger, that's interesting. And acknowledge that anger for being there. And then just accept it because it is. It's not about letting it go. We don't want to let anything go that is part of us. Anger is such a part of you. Own it, own it, own your anger. It is so okay to own your anger. Don't let it go. Anger is part of you. But allow it to be there and just let it settle. So once you've got yourself a process to start noticing what is coming up and all those little tiny triggers, then you can step into gratitude. Then you can open yourself up to feeling even more expansive. There are a few steps that I love to work through in gratitude, instead of just going aimlessly of like, oh, you know, what are you thankful for? So if we build it around a framework, it really helps to keep our mind focused and to keep expanding ourselves. And my rule of thumb is never to thank the same thing twice. A great framework that you can use for gratitude is very simple. One of my mentors taught me this: me, we, three. And you can use that. You can reverse engineer it, start from the me, start with the we, start with the three. So me means start with something within yourself. So something that you are grateful for, that is you, that is yours and yours alone. We is about those relationships around you, your partner, your children, your friends, colleagues, greater community. And then the three is for the wider community. So the community, like your local coffee shop or your local supermarket checkout queen, or even your town, or even your country, or even the world. But really create that last one as really being expansive, even like the galaxies, the stars, the moon, whatever comes up for you. And then with that framework, it makes it a little bit easier not to keep going round the same things again. When I look back at my first gratitude journals, they kind of keep to the same thing I was being grateful for every day. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. But we want to, if you're here, you want to expand your mind and expand your thinking. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So there's the framework. Me, we, three. I trust this resonates with you. Please check out the comments section below, because that will have extra details in it of links of where you can find me on social media and other things. And I look forward to seeing you here again. And please hit the subscribe button. I would be most grateful.